All right. Welcome to level 79 of the Sandbox Gamers podcast, a podcast where three Vidgets meet weekly to talk about life, love, and the pursuit of Vidya. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your co-host with the most, Wonder Rob, coming at you live. Are we live on YouTube Live right now? No, we're semi-live after the fact on YouTube from Southern California. And on the line with me are two of my best Arizona friends in the metaverse. The Alan Wake of our podcast, Vactor.
Stephen King once wrote that nightmares exist outside of logic, and there's little fun to be had in explanations.
He has that memorized. And the Max Payne of our pod, the always angry JeffW.
Hola.
Make the Max Payne face, Jeff.
There it is.
Like that?
This is why you got to watch us on YouTube. And I'm Sam Lake. Of course, I knew Sam Lake was Sam Lake was the writer and the face model for Max Payne in the original game and has since represented Remedy on numerous occasions. Of course, I knew that. It's not just written in front of me. Everybody knows who Sam Lake is. Dadoy. Anyways, thanks for joining us for another episode of the Sandbox Gamers. Excuse me. If you're already subscribed, thank you for coming back. We appreciate it. But if this is your first venture into the world of the Sandbox Gamers, welcome. We appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe. Like if it's on YouTube you're watching. Subscribe on YouTube or like on friggin' Spotify or wherever. What's important is that you just hit the subscribe button because you're doing us a kindness, and in turn, the universe will do you a kindness. That's what I've read on the back of cereal boxes. So thank you. And we got a lot to talk about this week. Of course, there's plenty of video game news to talk about, but we're skipping it this week for Five Nights at Freddy's.
Ooh-wee.
That's a Five Nights at Freddy's meme. You boys wouldn't know. We're going to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie that just recently came out, as well as our experiences with the games. Of course, we got video game updates. We're going to talk about what we've been playing this week and tons more. But we got another listener question. This time, dare I say, from our new loyalist listener?
Sorry,
Pedro. Tommy used to be our most loyal listener, but we haven't gotten any questions from.
That's Tommy laughing.
Was that Tommy back there? You got him over there at your house right now?
Man.
All right. There you go. Tommy. That's what it said. So from our new loyal listener, Pedro for life, or vote for Pedro, or whatever his name is on Discord. Thank you, Pedro. And the question is as follows: what is your all-time favorite horror video game? That's a great question. It's 1 week late from Halloween, but it's Halloween in our hearts every friggin' week over here. So we're gonna answer it anyway. If you want your question on the show, just reach out to us wherever you find us. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, pretty much all the places. Leave a comment and we'll take it into consideration. But what is your favorite all-time horror video game? And I'm going to start with JeffW on this because I know JeffW's got the collection of horror video game experiences.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
Oh, that's a wrestling reference.
What, the breaking glass?
Yeah, we got him, boys.
I was trying to think about this question when Vactor put it in the Discord. So for me, it would be Resident Evil 2. I think would be my favorite of all time, mainly because that's number one. I like that remake that they did, but then also I think that's kind of the first. That's one of the first big ones that I remember, I remember my cousins who got me into everything were like, you should wait till you see this shit. It's going to scare the shit out of you. You can't, like, they try to, get me with it. But, so the question is, would you count, I would count maybe BioShock in like
as a
the
horror
genre. I think it kind of qualifies, right? A little bit. I would say it's a little spooky.
It's I don't know if you'd consider it a
I don't
survival
know.
horror game. He says horror game, but
Yeah.
BioShock is definitely like
Mm.
it's as much of a horror game as like
Like The Last of Us would be.
yeah, like The Last of Us would be. Is in the sense that it's tense, it's a thriller, right?
Right.
A suspenseful thriller.
So I think if I had to go more maybe by the traditional, what we feel like would be the definition, I would go Resident Evil 2. But if BioShock falls into the category, that's like, that's one of the best games of all time. So it would have to be that for me.
Pedro,
But it
does it
depends
fall?
on what you look like.
Tell us.
Yeah.
Pedro,
you tell me,
leave a comment.
Pedro.
Leave a comment in the YouTube, Pedro. You know what? I haven't gotten a little email that says Pedro has subscribed
That's
on
true.
YouTube. So he must
That's
he must
true,
be
Pedro.
watching. He just must be watching every week. But I haven't
Pedro,
seen the
right
email
now,
come through.
he's listening this right now, and I'm sitting across from him in the future right now, and he's just gonna stand up from his desk and say, "You know what, bro? I'm sorry, I didn't comment, but I'm gonna do it right
Bro.
now." And then he's gonna tell us whether
You know what,
BioShock
bro?
is a horror story or not. Tell us, Pedro.
Hold on, you work with Pedro? Oh man. Here, I thought he was just some
Right
guy.
next to each other.
Right next to each other. What's up, Pedro? And in the future, that same future date, I am gonna pop out of the trash can that's behind Vactor, and I'm gonna go. Ah!
That's a pretty small trash can. The trash can is like this big.
No, you guys are gonna notice it beforehand. You're gonna be like, "What's that extra large trash can doing here today?" I don't know. They must have a lot of trash. And I'm gonna go inside, and you're not gonna hear it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh,
got you,
man.
Pedro. Got you, fucker. All right. We're having fun this morning, boys.
Oh,
All right,
man.
so moving on. Vactor, what is your favorite horror video game of all time?
So my favorite horror game of all time, keeping in the Jeff category, is Resident Evil 1. And Rob just put out a short recently on this. The moment when the dog jumps through the window and gets you for the very first time, I nearly pooped my pants, because I've never pooped my pants. So this was nearly me excrementing in my pants because I was so startled. And I said, this game is for me. And also, I'm not playing this game alone in the dark. So that very first, that was my first horror game experience. And so it has that novelty of being the first. But we've talked about this before on the podcast. The scariest, this is not what Pedro asked, but if we were going to go, what is the scariest game of all time? To me, it has to be Resident Evil 8 in VR. And I'm not playing it in VR for the same reason I wouldn't play Resident Evil 1 in the dark alone at my house as a 10-year-old kid. No, sir, I don't like it. Not going to do it.
I played Resident Evil 7 in VR, and it was scary, but what was scary about it was the janky controls on the PlayStation 4 with the little move controls, not meant to be a VR game controller at all. All right. Excellent answer. I wanted to say, I had a feeling I knew where this was going. Do it again. That's a little Doink the Clown.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it seems to be Rob's theme song when he calls, says text tone.
I'm not even mad. The real
like
ones
that.
know about Doink the Clown. That's right. The real one.
This is a video game podcast, Rob.
That's all right. You started it. You're the one who started it.
Well, we know that Jeff special requested that, so we'll keep that.
Also,
in
that
Jeff.
hasn't stopped us from answering questions about penises, like how many penises would Jeff put in his mouth,
we got
or
some
how many
great
penises would he sit on?
We got some great questions like that coming up in the future from Pedro. So that's a little sneak peek of what Pedro has in store for us.
We are a video game podcast, everybody. That's my trademark on the end of those shorts. I said, make sure to put that on there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Rob,
so
tell us.
for me, my favorite all-time horror video game has got to go to a little game called Eternal Darkness on the GameCube. Boys, have either of you played that game?
That doesn't ring a bell. I'm sure I played it. I'm sure I rented it.
They never made a sequel, and as far as I know, the company or the developer of that game doesn't exist anymore. I think I feel like
there's like a significant name behind that developer, though.
It was like Silicon Knights, if I remember correctly.
Somebody. I'm trying to think of who I know from that game. But yeah.
Okay, while you look that up, let me tell you about this game. This game is messed up. This game messed me up because it's like your regular survival horror game. You know, it's got that not exactly fixed camera, but it's got the same idea as Resident Evil. You know, you're walking through a mansion, but the thing that put this game apart from other games is that you had this sanity meter. So you're playing through your ancestors' experiences, sort of like Assassin's Creed. Now, for the video viewers, there's a video of it up right now on the YouTube page. So if you see any gameplay, there's like a green bar in the upper left-hand corner. That was your sanity meter. And the more the game went on, your sanity meter would go up and you had to keep it down. But if your sanity meter filled up or got too high, your character would start going crazy and the game would just mess with you. The game would fuck with you. So it would do little things like in the video right now. It would tilt the camera for a Dutch angle just to throw things off. But it would do things way worse than that. You'd be walking around and your character's head would just fall off for no reason. That was one that I remembered. You'd walk in and everybody would be dead already. Like all the characters in the room would be dead, or the characters you're talking to would just drop dead in the middle of a scene. But the game would go even further than that. It would pretend to reset your GameCube. It would delete your saves. It would turn the volume all the way down. It would do all sorts of stuff to mess with you while you're playing the game. It jump scares. Like there's a scene where somebody's just hanging. Yeah, like the person just hanging for no reason. Like this.
Spooky.
And so the idea is to keep your sanity meter down so the game wouldn't mess with you while you're playing with it. But it would just get spookier and spookier. And it was something that I really liked. And they never made a sequel to it. There was rumors for a sequel for the longest time. Oh yeah, look, invisible enemies. Oh, this guy's head just fell off. You see that? His limbs fell off. Like things like that would just happen in the game while you're trying to play it. An error has occurred occurred. Yes, it would say that your controller's unplugged while you're getting attacked by bad guys. Like this game was really good. Like it was a really good scary video game. And I'm sad they never made a sequel to it. That was a good one. Of course, I've played a lot of horror video games, you know, your Resident Evils, your Silent Hills, yada yada yada. Like I've played a lot and I enjoyed that genre quite a bit. But Eternal Darkness wears the crown, boys. It wears the crown for me.
I think I rented that, but I don't have a ton of memories of it. So I might have played it for a little bit and then returned it. Too scary for me.
Yeah, it was Silicon Knights is what they did the remake for Twin Snake. They did the Twin Snakes remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 for GameCube.
Oh, really?
So that's what I was like, I know this game from something.
That's our Jeff. He's got that video game knowledge. His mind's like a steel trap. Play the Stone Cold theme again, or whatever his theme was. Play Jeff's theme. Yeah, that's Jeff.
That music.
They don't call
This is a
Jeff
great.
the bionic redneck for nothing.
Oh
guy.
boy.
Redneck.
So great question, Pedro. It was fun going down memory lane. Again,
Yeah.
if you are a listener, all two of you, and you want to leave us a nice question, just find us on social media wherever. Follow the link tree. Leave a comment on something. We'll get the question answered. Thanks so much. All right. So it's time to move on to our big topic this week. We're talking Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's opened up about a week ago. It was, what was it? It was Halloween weekend when it opened up?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been out of a week, ultimately. Obviously, this is an adaptation of the wildly popular video game series, Five Nights at Freddy, that all the young little weirdos just love and are obsessed with. We are all familiar with the Five Nights at Freddy's game. We'll talk about that in a minute. We are going to spoil this movie. So for some reason, you're just dying not to be spoiled about the animatronic robots that may or may not be children that have passed and are now possessing robots. Don't listen.
Oh.
Because we're going to talk about it. All right. And then we're going to get into the video games that we played this week. So, boys, Five Nights at Freddy's. Before we talk about the movie, Vactor's camera's changing. Vactor, are you doing Five Nights at Freddy's trickery?
I know.
Your
On your
Yeah.
camera right now?
sanity, Rob, your sanity level.
Sanity now.
Oh man. Fazzy Fuckbear is gonna come through the door any moment now.
See, this is really benefiting the visual audience, not so much the audio listeners. But trust us, Vactor's camera is going
You gotta
crazy.
see the baby.
Okay, so have either of you boys played Five Nights at Freddy's, or what's your experience with the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise?
I'll start since Vactor's bugging out over here on the camera. My experience, I've never actually played the game. I know of I think my brother, when he was younger, was kind of like when this whole thing first started, like he was kind of into the horror game, like, you know, YouTube Screamer React thing like 10 years ago.
Right.
And so I knew of it through that, and I was like, oh, this is like a little interesting game or whatever. And then I've never played it, so I know like the general concept, just because you start to hear about it from all it's one of those things that like start out small, and then like you slowly like when you start hearing kids say FNAF, which I cannot stand hearing that word FNAF. It is so, I don't know what it is about those that combination of letters and pronouncing it like that drives me
Kind of
insane.
like calling a burger a burg. I wonder what that's like. I wonder what it's like to have somebody say a word you don't like over and over and over
a
again.
racist, huh?
FNAF.
Okay.
FNAF.
Yeah. No, but no. But ours is like a joke between us that, you know, this is like little kids will say it all the time.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I feel like if I just give my initial impressions of Five Nights at Freddy's and like what it is now, it feels like, you know how like they always talked about like with Halo, you know, all the developers were always like, oh yeah, we had this great 30 seconds, and then we just duplicated that over and over again, and it turned into, you know, what it is today. It turned into this like really fun shooter, yada yada yada. This is like that, but the opposite. This is when you have something that's like good or for 30 seconds, and then you blow it way out of proportion, and everything I feel like is dog shit. And only because like the game is so simplistic. I mean, I have negative feelings, let's say, towards the franchise overall, personally, and I haven't even played a bunch of it, but it just seems a little cringe. Maybe might be the word for me. I know I'm not the target audience, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, let's say.
Right. What about you, Vactor? Have you played any of these games?
I've never played them. The first time I experienced it was at Hot Topic, and I said, why are there bears on a t-shirt? What is this? I never played the game. But I did do a little bit of research on the series and the franchise, everything that's happened, and the lore behind the game is interesting to me. But when I looked at the actual gameplay, that did not look interesting to me. So that I'm not a big point and click adventure gamer, but it just did not intrigue me when I saw the gameplay.
Right. So I've played a few Five Nights at Freddy's games. I played the original one. I played it a few years ago after its big kaboom, after the insurgence of it. Sort of like how everybody went into Among Us like 2 or 3 years later after it was released. That was the same thing with me for Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's is fine. I agree with Vactor to a point where, the first game is just a static screen. You're flipping through the security monitors. You're looking at your office. You're closing doors. You're trying not to let the guys come in. It was fine, but it's a jump scare simulator, essentially, is what the game is. Now, I haven't played any of the other games since then, outside of Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, which came out last year, maybe 2 years ago. I don't remember.
I want to say last year. Yeah, I want to say last year. Yeah.
But Help Wanted is more of a traditional quote-unquote horror survival game where you are stuck in Freddy Fazbear's Entertainment Plaza and you have to get around without being spotted by the animatronics, which is fine.
It actually came out in 2019.
Help Wanted did?
Yeah, the very first one.
Oh, wow.
I guess there's more than one.
2019, no kidding. Interesting. Well, anyway, time is a construct. That's all I have to say about that. So that game was fine. I enjoyed it, but the game itself was a little janky, like in terms of its performance and how it would play, because I would be in a complete opposite room of where the bad guys were. Like there's a part where you're in an arcade and there's a bathroom on the side of the arcade, and the fox guy, if I remember correctly, is walking around trying to find you. And so I went and hid in the bathroom, but he's on the other side of the wall trying to kill me from the bathroom. And I know he was because you can access the security cameras, and I could see him on the other side of the wall seeing me through the wall as a glitch, because I would be dying in the bathroom over and over again. Like, who's coming in and getting me? But the game would recognize that I was in there, and the character wouldn't recognize that there was a wall between us. So at that point, I turned the game off.
And that's like an annoying thing about the franchise. I feel like this entire game is, we're gonna have this little creepy, animatronic doll, whatever thing, run at you, and that's kind of it. You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of stops there. Like, it's like, oh, you got seen. It's almost like hide and seek, less than like a jump scare, I feel like. But like, it definitely is just built for just that. Like, there's nothing after that. Like, I feel like, I don't know. It's just kind of,
and the games are fine.
Like, not much there.
I'll probably try Help Wanted 2. I don't know if that's out already yet. Help Wanted.
It says maybe part 2 is scheduled for next month.
Oh, wow.
Maybe it wasn't Help Wanted, the one that I played, because the one that you're showing me. No, it was. I can't. We're looking at footage right now. And
it wasn't VR. There's like a non-VR version, right?
Maybe there was a non-VR version. I don't have it up in front of me, but maybe it wasn't Help Wanted. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Whichever one, the most recent Five Nights at Freddy game. That's the one I played. Okay, so that all aside, we're going to talk about the movie. I think it's safe to say, Jeff, that this movie is not made for us. So we'll keep that in mind with our review. I watched this as an outsider looking in with the sort of a general knowledge of what's going on. I wasn't super familiar with the lore in terms of, turns out these machines are controlled by the ghosts of dead children. So that being said, I know Jeff was the absolute angriest watching this whole movie, so I want to get Jeff's opinions on this movie first. Tell us what you thought. Let's see. Hold on. It says right here, Five Nights at Security Breach. That's the one I played. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach.
That was 2021.
Okay. continue. All right, Jeff, tell us what you thought about Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, I don't really feel like there's like a lot going on with these games, especially the earlier ones, and they're trying to establish like a lore, as they say. So also feel like, to me, it's just kind of corny. So sure enough, the whole movie was like that. I was actually surprised they got the guy, because I actually looked it up later. He was in the Hunger Games, but my first note in the movie,
Josh Hutcherson.
yeah, I said, "Is this guy a Hobbit? Was he one of the Hobbits?" I was like, I know his face, but I don't. Is he a Hobbit? I don't know. But the whole concept, I mean, his character in here is like, I didn't like anybody in the movie. At a certain point, like 15 minutes in, I'm like, or 20 minutes in, I'm like, I don't like any of these people. This guy's a mall security guard who's like clearly mentally unfit. Like, he should probably be like in some kind of like rehabilitation center. He's a mall security and he's beating up like random dads at the mall or whatever.
Right. We should say, just for the audience, just in case, that the story of this movie, the premise is a mall security guard who got fired for beating up people for no reason.
Yeah.
Takes a job guarding Five Nights at Freddy's at night so he can have a job, so he can keep his daughter, and then all hell breaks loose. That's the premise. But it takes 4 nights for the night
his
for
sister.
the hell to break loose. Sister, yes, sister. Good call. Good thinking.
Yeah. And then so yeah, I thought it was like overall like fine. A lot of the stuff, it feels very like when the kid is drawing, I guess we're going to full-blown spoilers. I don't give a shit. Like the kids' drawings, I made that note too. I was like, we're gonna have to see these shitty drawings for the next hour and a half. You know what I mean? It was very like horror movie tropey, like, and I know that's like kind of the point here a little bit. Like, I understand that they're like, leaning into that a little bit. Oh yeah. My note here was, this girl's drawings suck ass. These are going to play a major role later on. And so you had to watch that. And I don't know. I think it was all right. The story is a little bit goofy to me. I also didn't. I mean, and Vactor maybe can comment on this when he talks about it. Like, I was like, oh, they did Scream. Like, they brought Matthew Lillard in at the end, and then they made this a Scream movie. Like, all right, like, great. But I just didn't find a lot like really appealing about the movie. It was I think the runtime's like almost, I think it's like an hour and 40 something minutes or something like that. It felt like 3 hours though. It felt like a Scorsese movie, how long this shit was. And some of the characters, like, they're like, clearly the cop is like a weirdo, and she's like, I don't know, it just didn't seem all that compelling to me. And like, there were a couple things, and I know it's a different time, so I know this like money doesn't matter, but like the scene where she wants them to like burn down the the restaurant while her nephew is like, security guard. She's like, I'll give you $1,000 for this. I'm like, you got 3 people in here doing $1,000. You guys are getting $300 for this? Like, what in the fuck is going on?
$333, Jeff.
You guys are getting $333 to do all this? Like, go get a job. You can make that like immediately. At least get like 5-10K. Get something like worth it. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then there's one scene in particular where it jumped the shark. I'll get that in a second. Other notes I had, this band, when the band would play, I was like, this music sucks. I was like, I don't want to. I hate when they turn the band on and they're playing music. And then like, it doesn't seem like they're in like a big town, and like there's like all these people going missing here, but nobody, like, there's like almost like no one cares. They're like,
there's this building with a big Freddy Fazbear sign on it that's been abandoned, and Mike, the main character, is like, what's this? I've lived here my whole life. What's this building right here? Oh, you didn't know? It was from the 80s. It used to be cool. This guy didn't see this one dilapidated building in his whole neighborhood.
Yeah. And when the cop lady, like,
Oh.
when she, like, comes in and turns on all the lights, how he didn't grab her and be like, who the fuck are you? Like, that is, what are you talking about? You know this place? Like, no cop knows where the light switches are at a place on their beat, quote unquote. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, how do you not question that? Like, you know, you have to do the Vactor, right? I can't remember what critic made that quote where it's like, you know, in these movies, everybody has to basically be the dumbest possible version of the character. Like, they can't think, they have to, in order for this to work, everybody has to be dumb. Like, there can't be like a smart character that is like, you know, putting this together.
You're right, Jeff. I had that
yeah.
same thought, especially when the people breaking in are getting killed by these robots. Nobody left. Like, nobody went out the front door.
There's doors that say exit multiple times in this movie, and nobody ever uses them. They're right
I would have
there.
been gone so fast if I saw that robot walking around. I'd be like, nope, I'm out of here.
Yeah, right. Like with blood on it, you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm out of this shit.
What's this
like,
talking cupcake? Never mind. I'm leaving.
yeah. And then the whole thing with the ghost kid, like I kind of like the, I was like, all right, these kids are annoying. Everybody was annoying to me in this movie. I didn't like anybody, and it's very weird, like overall. And then like the reveal at the end of well, I don't even remember the guy's name, the big yellow fucking thing with the ears, whatever.
Oh yeah, the dad.
he turned into like, he had like Batman with like that big, what's the thermal suit called, Vactor? Is that what it's called? He turned into like, or like a Hulkbuster suit. I don't know what the vibe was on that one. He just starts like choking people and throwing them across the room and shit. That was weird. I'll tell you the part where I was like, all right, fuck this movie, and like it really, like everything after this point was really tough for me to sit through, is the taxi scene. So you're almost near the end of the movie. You're probably like 3/4 of the way in, maybe a little bit over that. And they go to get the younger sister because the ghost kids that have possessed these fucking whatever animatronics, they want her. They want to bring her over to the dark side, whatever the fuck is happening here. And, there's a scene where you're thinking like they're at her house, the bear shows up to her house, and then you're like, oh, I wonder how he's gonna get her there. Or like you think like they would just end it. Like he shows up, you should just cut, and then the kid should just be at Fazbear's or whatever the hell. Like there shouldn't be any context there. Like fuck it. You haven't done it. Like the rest of this movie's weird. Like why would you show this scene? But they show the animatronic fucking bear get into the taxi. I'm like, how? Like, what are we doing here? Like, this is dumb. Like, you're supposed to skip this. Like, this is like cutting room floor. Like, what the fuck is happening here? And like, and then of course they have the guy up front. He's like, man, I always get the weirdest people. I'm like, this is fucking stupid, So yeah, I thought the movie overall like wasn't great. I mean, I'm here. I'll find some silver lining in this, is that this is a huge movie for Blumhouse or whatever, and they make other things that I like and other people. So if this means there's a little more money somewhere in there for another Jordan Peele movie, if this means there's somebody else creative, I'll take that. That's kind of where I can appreciate this thing being big, because I know it's not for me. I know it's like for children and stuff. So I don't know how this thing. It had a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes for a minute, but I think it's probably like 30,
29%. Yeah, right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm surprised it's that. I'm surprised it's that big or that much. I'm surprised it's not lower, to be honest. But yeah, I just thought it was, I don't know, goofy to me. Not even like Paranormal Activity. Like I kind of respect it because it's dumb, but like I understand. This, I'm like, it doesn't even have that kind of level to me. So
there you go.
I thought it was not good, let's say.
What about you, Vactor? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I was Not a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't have any attachment to the franchise or any of the characters, so the movie did not do a great job of introducing me to the world and to the lore. I actually had a better time researching it afterwards and watching some of the breakdown videos on YouTube and people talking about the Easter eggs and here's all the YouTube streamers that are in the movie and here's all the
Oh yeah,
behind
I
the
saw the
scenes stuff.
game theory guy was in there. So
Oh yeah, he was that like waiter, right? I think
he's like,
Yeah,
here's your pancakes, but that's just a theory.
yeah.
Game theory. And he looked at the camera and walked away, and I was like, I think that's the guy from Game Theory.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them, and they all had a role in like popularizing Five Nights at Freddy's on YouTube. That's where a bunch of the success of the franchise came
Right.
from.
I'm surprised Markiplier wasn't in it. I sort of expected
Yeah.
to see him in it, but
yeah.
after I saw the Game Theory guy, I was like, oh, Markiplier is going to be in this movie, but he was nowhere to be seen.
Yeah. A little bit of background. This is the biggest Blumhouse movie opening ever of all time. It was the second biggest video game adaptation opening ever at $78 million.
Behind what?
The number one came
Come on,
out
Jeff.
earlier this year.
Yes,
Super
come
Mario.
on, Jeff.
All right. Oh,
Sonic
yeah,
the Hedgehog 2. Oh,
All right. Well, I thought it might have been Sonic. I don't know. I was like, there's no way it was that big, right? Shit.
So
At least
yeah,
it was Mario.
this was a huge opening, and so there's going to be a sequel. There's going to be a franchise because
There's
especially
another
horror movies.
restaurant in this other city, but this other guy owned it. It was weird. It's a little weird.
Yeah. So
Vanessa, my
How
tummy
else would
hurts.
how else would robots move? Of course, this is ghosts. I think they say at one point in this movie, and I was like, "Fuck both of you, idiots! You're both dumb."
Yeah,
I find a lot of the background on this game to be interesting. The guy that created it, Scott Cawthon.
Mhm.
I'm probably mispronouncing his name. He started his game career making Christian games, Christian adventure
What?
games, and
No way.
then he went on. Like I think it was kind of an accidental success with Five Nights at Freddy's in 2014, and then obviously now he's going to be known for this for the rest of his life. Probably the biggest thing that he will create, I believe, is going to be Five Nights at Freddy's. But I think this, like Jeff said, is going to be good for Blumhouse. This is good for the horror movies and video game adaptations. There's a lot of things that this is going to pave the way for. But
Right.
this itself, I did not find entertaining. Actually, the only thing I liked about this movie was Matthew Lillard. As Jeff referenced, I'm a big Scream fan, and having one of the original Scream guys in there, he's looking old. It's funny because
How old
other
is
day at
Matthew
work,
Lillard? I don't think he's that old.
got to
Though.
be 50. 55.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, look
55
it
is Vactor's guess. I'll report back.
Yeah. The other day I just saw him because they were playing Scooby-Doo at work, and I was like, hey, look at Matthew Lillard 20 years ago, 30 years ago. How old is-
53.
Ooh.
But he definitely starting to show some signs there. But I love seeing him anytime he comes on the screen. It reminds me of Scream and of the good memories I have. So that was the only thing that I took away from it. I'm not a Josh Hutcherson fan, so that he didn't do anything to make me like him. And everything that his character does is like, you probably shouldn't be the caretaker of your sister. You probably shouldn't have a job. You probably shouldn't have all these things. There's nothing in it that makes me say, yeah, this is a good guy. He just had a bad rap. Like he just had a bad break. It's like, no, everything he's gotten, he deserves it. Everything that's happened to him.
Yes, I will sacrifice my sister. Yes.
I don't like that.
I mean, no. Hold on. I mean, no. But he said yes.
I'm glad this was on Peacock because this is not something I would have wanted to go to the theater to go see. But it's like I said, it's crazy. It made $78 million at the theater. So, like Jeff, I'm not the audience for this, but the audience came out in droves, and even the Rotten Tomatoes audience score is 88%. The critics tomato meter's at 29%, but the audience is giving it an 88%. So people are loving this movie, but I've got better things to do with my time than watch Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, and not to interrupt Vactor, and Vactor said it again, where it's like, it's not, I'm not, there's the whole time in the movie, I'm thinking too, like, they keep doing like the reveal of the characters, like they'll be from behind a door, and it'll be whatever Fozzie, Fazbear, Chick, whatever, Wolfie,
Chica,
whatever
Chica.
the hell their names are.
Chica.
Yeah, and they do like the slow, like maybe this is where the movie would just doesn't play to me and makes me hate it more. Is like it'll do this slow reveal and it zooms in on them, but I don't feel anything from that. Like these characters, like they don't really scare me. Like they're not spooky that much really. And they zoom in on it. They do these long, like drawn out thing, and I'm like, if I'm a kid, like say it was like a Master Chief thing as like a kid, I'd be like, oh, like they showed Master Chief, like I'd be like hyped on it. But this just has like no you know what I mean? Like I don't feel anything for it. So and they do that quite a bit. So that's probably 99% of my feelings like summed up right there.
36% of the opening night audience was between 13 to 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So that shows you who came out for this movie. But it also, like I said, it's good for the video. Like we're going to get more video game adaptations because this one was successful. We're probably going to get some more sequels from this, but I don't think I'll be watching those unless you want us to talk about them here on the Sandbox Gamers podcast, dear listener and viewer. That's the only way I'm watching more Five Nights at Freddy's.
You know they do. You know Pedro was just pooping his pants waiting for the second movie so we could talk about it.
I'll do it for Pedro, but not anybody. Not for Tommy. I'll do it for Pedro.
I did not like this movie, boys. Usually I find myself pretty, what's the word? I'm usually able to find something good about everything I watch. Right? Even like the MCU is the best example. The MCU's been stumbling a little bit lately, but I've been finding a little bit to enjoy in virtually every Marvel outing lately. I've enjoyed the games, like I said before, but this is baby's first horror movie. Five Nights at Freddy's, but nothing happens until the fifth night at Freddy's. For real, nothing happens. This is for a movie about animatronics walking around killing people and you're trying to avoid them. There's a zero of that in this movie until the last 15 minutes.
I was very bored throughout this movie.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
As a matter of fact, I watched this on Peacock as well because I didn't feel like driving down to the theater and paying $25 plus popcorn to go see this movie. So I'm glad I paid the $5.99 or whatever it was. But whenever it wasn't in Freddy's, whenever it was this guy at home talking to his sister, talking to Matthew Lillard, talking to his mom. I don't even know who was trying to take his sister. They didn't even really make that clear, at least not to me. Anytime that it wasn't,
aunt.
Yeah,
it
was his aunt,
right? She wanted she wanted the child. These people are all poor, by the way. She wanted the child support money or whatever the fuck it, like the government money for having the parents dying.
Typical poors.
So fucking weird. They're burning down buildings for $300. Like, get the fuck out of here. Go.
Now, anytime that it wasn't the action wasn't in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, I found myself reaching for my phone and looking at my phone and glancing up because it just was not interesting. Now, I did not know the deep lore of Five Nights at Freddy's, right? I played the Security Breach and I played the first game. Those games don't really delve into that lore, and if they did, I missed it. So maybe that's on me, but I didn't know the lore that these are all kids, which in my mind was pretty lame. To me, again, this is me. I'm not the audience, the main audience. I'm not the 13 to 17-year-olds coming out to see this movie. It's a lot scarier if these are just animatronics that are fucking around and you don't know why they're doing it. Like, to me, that's what I was expecting. I was like, that feels like a scary premise. But no, we all just got kidnapped one day, and then he put us in the robots, and now our souls are in the robots. Let's do a high five. when the robots are nice halfway through the movie. I was like, oh, okay, so they're not even the bad guys. They just fucking kill adults. Great. Fantastic. There was not a single moment where I was scared. I did watch this in the dark. I turned off all the lights. I waited till it was nighttime. I did not find myself scared 1 second. I remember thinking towards the end of the movie, before Matthew Lillard pops out in the bunny suit, why is Matthew Lillard even in this? And then he shows up at the end as the bad guy, and I was like, of course he's the fucking bad guy. Like, why else would he even be in it?
The biggest giveaway with the guy, he beat up the guy's dad, and he's like, you know what? I got a job for you.
Yeah.
Like, bet.
It just was a boring movie. It was.
Yeah.
And again, I want to appreciate it on the other side of things. Like, for example, the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. You know, that's something I grew up with. It's a story and a lore set that I've made myself aware of as a child. So of course, I'm into these movies. But people like my wife are like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, whatever. Ninja Turtles. I can see the other side of the coin for these little kids who are obsessed with Five Nights at Freddy's. Just going, this is God's gift to cinema. Oh my God, brava, Matthew Lillard. But it was not. It just wasn't for me, man. It's not good. It's boring. The only thing I'm gonna say that I'm gonna give it thumbs up on were the suits. They looked great. Jim Henson's Creature Shop did all the suits. Same people who did the Ninja Turtle suits for the original movies, Ninja Turtles 1 and Secret of the Ooze. So they were very good. I was impressed with how well the suits were adapted for the movie. But outside of that, man, this was just not an enjoyable movie. I don't know if I have any urge to see a sequel, but if anybody requests us to watch it, we'll watch it. Because we are the Sandbox Gamers after all. So I recommend watching this movie on Peacock if your friend has a subscription and you can just borrow their password. Otherwise, don't pay the $5.99 for the minimum tier with ads. Don't do it.
No. They need to go watch that. Watch this movie and stick around right for the what was it? The little montage scene where they built a fort together. It was perfectly fit.
Oh yeah, and the shot of everybody laying on the ground in a circle, the robots, like it's just not good, man. Oof. It's just not good. Even the horror aspects weren't good. Like I was done with the conversation, and Jeff sparked up my anger. Even the horror the horror elements weren't good. In the 10 minutes of the whole entire movie where these robots are actively killing people, all you get is a silhouette of somebody being bitten in half. You see their shadow. You see one scene where somebody puts their hand against the glass and blood comes out. That cliche sort of hand smear. That's it, my guys. Oh,
where was that saw chair?
And I was going to say, and there's a saw chair.
Where was that?
Who designed the robots that way? Who put all these blades in the mask? People have to wear this. Anyway. This movie's stupid. And nobody goes for the exit. Nobody found the exit. The doors with the big exits. There's a front door. There's so many places to leave. And nobody did. So I'm glad. Hey, listen, friggin' Braxton, the 5-year-old, or Bexley, the 8-year-old. I'm glad you guys loved this movie, but the adults think it's shit.
13 to 17. That's
all right.
Core audience.
All right, so it's time to talk about something a little bit better. We're going to talk about the video games we played this week. Now, let's get our update. Zelda Gate 2023. Several weeks ago, around Labor Day, JeffW promised he would have that game beat by Labor Day. He has since failed to make do on his promise. Now, we are checking in. JeffW, is this the week you beat Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom?
Zelda music.
No, I did not beat Zelda, but I beat another Nintendo game that came out recently.
All right.
Beat Super Mario Wonder.
Oh.
I should say I beat it in like the idea that I saw credits. And
Right.
I got through that. There's quite a bit I think still to do. I will say, after having gotten to the point where I did feel kind of that inkling of like I want to go back. I know there was a lot that I missed. There's a bunch of secret exits that I missed. And I know there's some levels that at a certain point you get to like that fifth world. There's like a lava world at the end, obviously, right before you get to Bowser's area.
Of course.
And there are a couple of really annoying levels in there.
That was Mario.
Thanks.
Wowie,
Nothing says Mario. And there's some stuff I missed. It gets a little bit more difficult, but overall, a pretty good, simplistic Mario game. Nothing crazy. No, I think this would have been like, if this is the midway point between the next Odyssey, like I'm happy with this game. Although I want to see, the next Odyssey game more than this, obviously. But yeah, I think everything was good about it. It met all my expectations. I would say the Bowser Jr. fights were a little bit simplistic. I know that's always is, but I think they could, step it up a little bit more on the difficulty on those. I feel like it's maybe a little, or give me like an option to make it a little more difficult or something.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was great. I think I don't think I'm gonna get to the 100%. My buddy texted me this morning. Actually, he's gonna 100% this game. He's my friend that would call off work. We would be in meetings. He would be at home and he would be watching Nintendo Directs. And I could see
Sounds like
his
a cool
screen. I could see his screen moving while we're all in our big, department meeting, and he's watching the Direct. He's not paying attention. He texted me and he said the last level took him a few hours to beat the 100% final level. And then he sent me the video of it. I hadn't seen it up to this point, but it is, no spoilers. I don't think either you guys will do 100% on it. But the last level is a long series of the badge challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So Vactor, I don't know if you've gotten to those very much, but there's a bunch of these and they do get kind of difficult. Like some of them get to like a pretty annoying places, and you do a long series of these different badge challenges. So I would like to play that level. I just don't think I'm going to get to the point where I can play that level, if that makes sense. And now if this was on PC, I would just mod it and I would play that fucking level. But I guess, since we're on Nintendo, I either gotta wait. Maybe I'll play it one day, but no, it's a good game. I like it. I think you should both beat it as well.
Oh, I'll get to it. As you know, I'm playing it on YouTube, boys, so I'm going a little slower than I normally would, because I feel like I could plow through this game in a day if I really tried.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of, playing them and then editing the videos and getting them on YouTube and all that stuff, it takes a little longer. Nobody told me about all this extra time. Whose stupid idea was it for me to do this? Vactor, you didn't play it last week when we talked about it, but now you have it in your hands now. I know you haven't had a whole lot of time with it, but I am interested in your first impressions of the game.
It's exactly what I wanted it to be from the very first time we saw that Nintendo Direct when they first revealed the trailer for it. The evolution of the 2D Mario. This is what, in 2023, this is what Mario looks like on a 2D platformer. All of the animations are fantastic. Every time there's a new Mario 2D, I want to see what different suits that he has, what different power-ups. And so far, I've gotten the elephant and the bubbles. I'm interested to see, is there one where he can hang from the ceiling? Like he can
If there
stick
is,
to the
I haven't
ceiling?
gotten to it yet.
Yeah, there's a little drill hat, and you.
Okay, that's the one I haven't gotten yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get that because I saw some video of that.
That's probably like 3 worlds in. Once you get past that third, it might be the third world.
Okay.
Which sounds stupid.
I'm on the second
it might be the
world
third
now.
age of the
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
I'm on the second area right now.
Mhm.
But I really like the elephant. I like the different power-ups, and like I said, it looks fantastic. Everything that I remember playing as a kid on a 2D platformer, Mario, that was the one that got me into 2D platformers, was Super Mario. So
Yeah.
I've been enjoying it. Every like I said, everything I wanted out of it, that's what I'm getting out of it. So Super Mario Brothers Wonder is definitely going to be on my top 5 games of the year.
Ooh, coming soon. We're almost at the end of the year, boys. It's almost time for that
Mhm.
game of the year discussion. Speaking of game of the year discussion, I heard a rumor, Trent, that you platinumed a particular game this week. What was that?
That is 100% correct. That is the game of the year, Spider-Man 2. I have finished 100%. All of the trophies, all of the story, everything is done. So now I'm waiting for DLC. What are we gonna get? We're gonna get some Daredevil. We're gonna
Yeah,
get
there's rumors about Daredevil DLC because
Hmm.
you can
if
find
we
the
get-
hand base in the game.
what if we get a little Wolverine?
That would be cool
Because
too.
we know we got that Wolverine game coming up.
Well, and I saw on his what's the building, the Murdoch building, like
Nelson
that
and
sign's like
Murdoch.
missing. Yeah, like in the
Yeah,
game, the sign
plaque's
is
gone.
missing. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, so I love Spider-Man 2. That is my favorite game of the year so far. As I've said on previous episodes, but now I'm 100% complete. These are the only games that I platinum on PlayStation is the Spider-Man games. So this one is now ready for DLC.
What would you say was your favorite thing about platining? You get what I'm saying. Platinuming it versus the worst, like the most annoying.
Well, I like getting all the suits. I like having every single suit, all the power-ups, being 100% on everything. I like that. I don't know if I had a worst. It was just a lot of the
He's
trophies
such a
I ended up.
fan. You
I
tell me,
ended
you tell me there was no mission that was bullshit. That you are such a liar. There was no mission that sucked. He's like, I liked all of it.
When it's the game of the year, it's gotta be the best. Yeah.
I liked hunting down all the little, Riddler trophies. I like that part of those games.
I'll
This
tell
is
you
actually
what.
fun.
I just did a side mission where you have to, minor spoilers for a side mission in Spider-Man 2, everybody, where you have to take a presumably homeless person's birds to the other side of the city. And I
Oh my
liked that
God.
mission. That mission was actually pretty good. You know what it reminded me of, Jeff? It reminded me of crossing over into Mexico in Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, okay.
A very similar feel in this mission in the game in Spider-Man to that mission in Red Dead Redemption.
And you remember that person is Howard from the first game. He
I
had a side
remembered.
mission in the first game.
I was able to remember where you get to find pigeons in Spider-Man and then kill pigeons in Spider-Man when you snatch them out of the sky. I remember. So that mission is where I'm at side mission wise in terms of where they appear. But I've been spending more of my time in that game doing side stuff and side quests and little like find all the spider bots, find all the Flint Marco memories. Like I've been doing a lot of that more than the story itself. But I am enjoying this game, and I'm proud of you, Vactor, for platinuming the game. Good work. All right, well, I think that is guns to do it, boys, for this week's episode of the Sandbox Gamers. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of the YouTube video, the audio podcast, whatever, we appreciate you. And we have a couple quick things to tell you before we quit this episode. Number one, did you know, you probably did because you're a loyal listener, that Vactor has a YouTube channel. Vactor is what you call a comic book influencer. He has a presence in the comic book community, and it's called Vactorverse. Tell him, Vactor.
Oh yeah. Every single week on youtube.com/Vactor, we're talking about the latest and greatest. We are recently focusing on the TV show Loki, which has one more episode, boys, before it is complete. The end of this season is near. So we're talking Loki season 2. And then coming up, teasing a little bit, we're going to be talking Invincible, all about season 2 of Invincible. So we're going from season 2 of Loki to season 2 of Invincible. And let me just tell you a little sneak peek, boys. Invincible is now my favorite show currently airing on television. But you're going to have to wait to get my full thoughts on the Vactorverse.
Better than What We Do in the Shadows?
I would say Invincible is a better show. Now, it's not a better comedy.
For people
it's
who
a
aren't
show.
in the know, Vactor was singing What We Do in the Shadows praises for so long as his favorite show on TV. Interesting.
Jeff also enjoys What We Do in the Shadows. That is a fantastic show.
That's so
but it's
Nandor
no
of you, Jeff. That's typical Nandor.
That's no Invincible. I highly recommend check that out. And I highly recommend Vactorverse on YouTube. You can check out everything that we're talking about over there at youtube.com/Vactor.
Right. You can find the links in the show notes for Vactorverse, unless we forget to put them in. But otherwise, they're in there. Vactorverse, I would like to point out, is also on Instagram and TikTok, so you can find him there as well. And of course, you can find us, the Sandbox Gamers, all over social media. We're almost 4,000 followers strong on Facebook, boys. So check that out. We're doing okay on TikTok. Yeah, that's right. That's right. On TikTok, we're actually under Wonder Rob, or under my handle. So WONDERROB, and we're all the other places, but just check the link tree in the show notes. You can find all the links there. We're going to be back next week with more video game news, more video game talk, all maybe questions about penises from Pedro. Who knows? Keep Jeff on his toes. But all I really have to say outside of all that is GG, everybody. GG.
GG.